Welcome, everybody. This is Avoiding the Addiction Affliction brought to you by Westwards Consulting and the Kenosha County Substance Use Disorder Coalition and by a grant from the state of Wisconsin's Dose of Reality Real Talks, reminding you that opioids are powerful drugs and that one pill can kill. I'm Mike McGowan. Learning to deal with stress and anxiety that many of us experience is not easy. There are times where we all receive counterproductive messages from the people who genuinely care about us. And then there's stigma. We're going to talk about what can work when it comes to our mental health, our relationships, and overcoming that stigma with our guest today, Kelli O'Rourke Wall. Kelli is a California-based licensed marriage and family therapist who works with individuals, couples, and families, empowering them through actionable healing strategies. Welcome, Kelli.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Really glad to be
Kelly's
here.
Kelly's in the Napa Valley, so I told her before we started that I'm already jealous as far as we go. Such a beautiful part of our world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I feel very fortunate to call it home.
Like a lot of professionals we've talked to on here, Kelly, you got into your profession having first been a client, right?
Yes.
You experienced all this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of us in the helping professions come to this work through our own lived experience of either our own mental health challenges or those of the people we love going through something. And so, yeah, I definitely came to this work through my own journey.
What caused your stress and anxiety back in the day that sought you to seek help?
Yeah, well, I had gone through about 9 years of infertility treatments.
Oh my
Some
gosh.
kind of slow, yeah, it was a long haul, and I would take breaks because it was really a roller coaster, right? Just hope, hope, and excitement, and then, the drop when it wouldn't work. And so it was finally after my last failed IVF attempt, I think just something really broke inside me. I think I really just lost a lot of confidence in
Mm.
myself. I really struggled. I just remember getting that call from the clinic saying, sorry, it didn't take. And I was at work and I thought, oh my gosh, just how am I going to get through the day? I was heartbroken. And yeah, I think I left that day and I actually didn't go back. I actually had to take a time out from my life. I was having a lot of panic attacks, a lot of anxiety. I had trouble leaving my home. I'd get in the car and I would just start crying or shaking or going into panic. And I just really, yeah, I think it just broke my heart in such a way I couldn't really function.
The word panic attack is used way too casually. I've had three, and I
Yeah.
didn't, the first time I had one, Kelly, I thought I was having an asthma attack or a heart attack. I
hmm
didn't know
Yeah.
what the heck it was. So
Yeah.
just describe a little bit about what panic attacks entail.
Yeah, panic attacks are really your more severe anxiety, right? When you go into a panic attack, you're in such fight or flight mode that you kind of, it feels to me when I first had mine, similar, I thought, okay, I'm dying. This is the end of the world. Like I felt so out of control. I didn't know what was happening to me. Took an actual, journey to the ER to be like, what is happening to me? And yeah, they said, oh, that was a panic attack. So, yeah, it was so intense that I thought, yeah, death was imminent.
And then, there is medication for that, but,
Right,
you don't want to always be on medication for a long time.
right, right, right. That's for sure. Yeah,
When you went through what you went through, what were those people around you? What advice were you getting for people? Keep going with the
yeah.
fertility treatments, or were you getting a lot of what Brene Brown would say, fake empathy?
Yeah, I think so. I got a lot of that. Well, I mean, I think first people generally around me, kind of my support people, they were really sad with me. They kind of grieved a little bit this loss, but that was kind of short-lived, right? Like then they were kind of expecting me to just get over it, go back to being myself, the strong, capable fixer person who was always there to support them. And when I was not in a position to support them anymore, I think, people around me kind of struggled with that. They wanted me to just, yeah, get over it, like get in the car and get to the store. And I I couldn't do those things. And it really started challenging some of my relationships and our
Yeah.
dynamics. Yeah.
How much grace period were you given?
few weeks.
Yeah, come on.
I
Right,
mean,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. It was
I had
just a
a
few
young
weeks.
woman one time I was doing a presentation. She came up to me and said, my dad, she was 17. She said, my dad died last October. This was like May.
Yeah.
And my friends are all telling me, oh, get over it. It's been almost
Oh,
6 months. She goes, should I be over it already? Th- This is what people
oh,
do, right?
yeah.
I think people who love you want you to just be over it. They want you to be okay. They don't know
Mhm.
what to do.
That's right. That's right. They don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to help myself. They didn't know how to help me, and then deal with all the feelings they were having, you know, about their own lives impacted by what I was
Yes.
going through.
Yeah. So what do you tell
Yeah.
people would be helpful? Like if I have a son, a daughter, a friend going through depression, stress, anxiety, what is helpful?
Well, that's a good question. And I think families are so important and your support system is so important. And some families can get into accommodating the depression and anxiety. And some people, like, I think that would be one side kind of the spectrum. And then the other people are really push, push, push. Right. And so I think it's really kind of something more in the middle. Kind of really listening to your person, whoever's suffering, and kind of seeing what they need. I think when we accommodate too much, I mean, definitely there was a lot of accommodation for me. I built a very small life for myself because of my panic disorder actually went into agoraphobia where I had
Mm,
trouble leaving the house and traveling and things. And so people accommodated that because I just told them I just couldn't do it, or would have start crying or have a panic attack, and they were like backing off because they were unsure. But that wasn't super helpful because it kind of really helped me, stay in the cycle that I was in. I had no real impotence to change because I was not self-motivated to face my like panic and have panic again. But then if people push too hard, I would also kind of really shrink back and have
mm.
difficulty with that too. So I really think it's kind of more in the middle.
What
But
finally got you into therapy?
I had struggled on my own for, gosh, close to 10 years. I
Oh my
lived this
goodness
way.
gracious.
Yeah, because I had a lot of pressure around me because I always had the label be strong, you can do it. I was constantly trying to be that person still, but like just not able to. And
Mm,
so I was trying to do a lot of things in my own strength, reading a lot and doing things, but I was kind of just spinning my wheels. And so I actually found out that through my health plan, they were holding a class called Phobies. And it was by, renowned Dr. Howard Leapgold, just an anxiety specialist. And it was a 12-week program. And I was like, okay, I need help. I can't do this on my own. My people around me don't know how to help me. And so I went to my first class and it was just incredible. It was so overwhelming, but in such a great way. I think I cried maybe the whole entire first class because I felt like, oh my gosh, these people know what I'm going through.
hmm
They know how to help me. Look, and there was like 40, 50 other people in that class. And I was like looking around and just heartbroken for them. Like, look at all of us just so broken. It really moved me. But I left feeling hopeful. I'm like, okay, they know this. This is a thing, and they know how to help me. And so I left with a lot of psychoeducation about what I was going through because I didn't really understand still panic attacks or what was happening. And I left with a framework on how to move through it and really overcome it. And so, yeah, that was really a powerful experience for
I bet
me.
you didn't want to leave or wanted the next class to be the very next day.
Yeah, yeah, I just couldn't get enough.
Mm.
I probably read through the whole book, when we were supposed to go one week at a time.
Yeah, to
But I
heck with
was
that.
super motivated. Yeah, so that was a pivotal moment for me. Um,
So what finally worked to for you to turn the
yeah.
corner?
Well, I think, this program, this framework of how to do it, the step-by-step kind of guide on, what you do. Normalizing anxiety for me
Hmm
was
hmm
super important. Like these are normal bodily functions. This is your fight or flight system in action. all the sensations you're feeling are normal, effects of adrenaline, and when I kind of understood, I was like, oh, okay, this is normal, it's just happening at like not great times. But I think, yeah, the psychoeducation really helped. And then the step-by-step process of really how to like desensitize to anxiety, to really kind of acclimate and become comfortable and not be afraid of it.
Yeah, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
When you talk, how do you learn to desensitize or to relax?
Yeah.
I mean, did you end up doing yoga, deep breathing? Like, how did you learn
Yes.
to get control back over your bodily functions?
Yeah, so that was a big part because there was like head knowledge, right? But then there's also my body was just going through so much. So part of it was really understanding what anxiety looked like for me. So sweaty palms would start, and then that increased heart rate, and then so knowing my how it manifested for me,
Hmm.
and the earlier I could catch it, like the sooner I could use my tools to keep it down. So using like we would use SUDS charts, scales, so subjective units of distress. And we would say, okay, where are you now on that scale? Right? So zero, I mean, you're probably asleep because no one's really at a zero. But like one is like you're alert, you're functioning, you're doing well. Three, four, it's starting to get harder. Five, you're like, oh, I want to escape. I need to get out of here. And then boom, 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 10, you're at a full-blown panic attack. And so really learning what that looked like for me, being able to use some tools when I started getting around to four and four or five, so that I could stay more grounded and kind of really in whatever situation that I was in, instead of having to always have an escape plan and bolt out of there.
What did it
Um,
feel like the first time you were able to employ some of these techniques and it worked? What did
yeah,
that feel like?
yeah. It was awesome because it's important to have
Right.
relaxation techniques, things like, okay, I noticed my heart's rate starting to kind of go, okay, what are some tools I can use to relax that and see if I can stay in my feared situation and just kind of acclimate. And it was great. Now, the other part of it is using a hierarchy approach. So say, I mean, I definitely could not go over bridges for quite a while. And so, yeah, I was very, very limited. And so, like, my goal was like, I'm getting to San Francisco. I'm going to cross the Bay Bridge,
Yeah,
And
really.
so, yeah, so I had to kind of work my way up there. First, I had to get in the car. So that was the first thing, sit in the car, right? So I could sit in the car and just sit there in my driveway and feel okay. Like they're like, check, okay, that's level one. Level two was getting in the car and like driving around the block. Can I do that with a safe person driving? I couldn't drive yet. So it was kind of these gradual layers of moving up the ladder, this hierarchy, so like till I got to 10, right? Getting on the freeway was another one I had to do. Being in traffic was a trigger for me because there was no escape. I felt
Right.
locked in.
Hmm.
And so I had to go get in traffic and just really use my tools and notice that I could handle that. Because the brain learns by experience. We can have a lot of head knowledge, we can know all the things, but until we do it, our brain is still like, well, yeah, I don't know, Kelly, that might not be okay. You might get stuck. This might happen. Well, what if this? And so when we actually do the things, we teach our brain, look, we're okay. We can handle this.
Awesome.
And so it was really a step-by-step gradual process of, yeah, to
The
freedom,
first
really.
time you drove to the bridge,
Yeah.
were you alone? Did you have somebody with you?
I did. The first time I actually had my husband was my driver. Because I was like, I can't drive yet.
Yeah,
So
right.
then,
Makes
yeah.
sense.
So I was like, well, what if I have a panic attack, on the bridge? Well, it's like, well, he's driving. I can have a panic attack. Like that'd be oh, like we'll survive that. That's okay, right? Because normal body function doesn't lead to death or disease. I'm not going to die from this. So whatever happens, I'll use my tools. It'll be okay. So, yeah, but I was nervous, but I had a lot of tools. So it was just, oh, that tool's not working, another tool. So I'm definitely a fan of multiple techniques because in certain situations, some are going to be better than others. And you just keep going through your list until you find the one that works.
It's funny you should mention that because I've worked with a lot of people, and I was actually a few years ago working with an NFL player.
Oh,
Okay, so what does that mean? That means this person plays in TV, plays in front of
yeah.
thousands of people. It's a rough sport. And he had that he could not go over a bridge. So he could drive, and then when they got close to a bridge, he'd have to
Yeah.
pull over and have his wife drive across while he
Mm.
battled more demons going across that bridge than he did
Oh,
being on TV in front of millions of people. The body's weird. The brain is
amazing.
weird, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. It's weird.
That's not real
It's like,
scientific, but
but it is. It's like, why this thing and not that thing, right?
yeah.
Like, why is this that kind of gets us this little glitch that we get hung up on? And yeah, I think it can be different for every person, like what that thing is. It is fascinating what can get us.
What's also cool about your story is that when you walk into that class and then you go get help,
Yeah,
and you're obviously not in the same place, this stuff works.
yeah,
But
yeah,
there's two things I think that keep people from doing what you did. Stigma's one,
yeah,
shame is the other.
yeah.
You talk about that on your website. You experienced some shame regarding the infertility.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
how'd you overcome that?
So that was kind of one of the last things that I overcame because I still had this belief through the infertility because it was female factor. So I wasn't able to carry a pregnancy. I thought, well, something's wrong with me,
Mm,
right? Like I'm unworthy of this. I must be a bad person that this isn't happening for me. And so, yeah, I kind of really carried that around. And then when the anxiety happened, oh, that was like a double whammy of
hmm
shame for me because, right, I'm always the strong one, the capable one, the one who does all the things, who's the fixer, the peacemaker, had all these labels. And then, anxiety made me feel really weak
mm,
as a person, like incapable. It really challenged my capability. I mean, like I used to go drive all over the place. Like, how come I can't get over a bridge? Like, what's wrong with
hmm
me? I must be, I'm broken. And so, but I hid that from people. Right, I would just be busy when people ask me to go into the city or like have to like travel somewhere. So I really kind of tried to hold up this facade that I was still okay, even though I wasn't. And that was really my shame, not being able to
hmm
share that with people. And so it was actually through a 12-step program that I got involved in that really helped me overcome that because shame was like telling me, keep this a secret, don't share this with anybody. What will people think of you, And through the 12-step program, really like getting into the groups and the circles, you got to share. And I remember almost having panic attacks in the seat, being like, oh my God, it's almost my turn. I actually held the bottom of my seat to be like, do not run. You are doing this. I just forced myself to stay there and open up about what I was struggling with. And with that, just like came just a release of
Yeah.
that, right? It was out in the open. I wasn't hiding this secret anymore, and I think through vulnerability, through really opening up and sharing that I was able to move through the shame.
And your faith played a large part of that too.
Yeah, for sure. The 12-step program was actually a Christ-centered 12-step program, was started through my church. And I think I was so grateful for that because I don't know that I would have gone to a 12-step program had it not been under the umbrella of my church. Because I think there's still a lot of stigma about 12 steps. Like, oh, that's for those people. And I was like, no, like they say this is for someone with a hurt, a habit, or a hang up. And yep, I like got all
Hmm
that. Like,
hmm Right,
like
right.
I'm gonna go do this. And so I think that really helped me kind of cross over, into the 12-step programs, which I
Kel
think are huge. Huge.
yeah. Kelly, I'm seeing so many people right now who are experiencing stress and
Yeah.
daily anxiety and depression. The
Yeah.
mental health in this country is not great. That's what all the studies
Yeah.
tell us. What are you
Right.
seeing in your practice, first of all? And what do you
Yeah.
find works for people?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree. I think especially coming out of the pandemic, I mean, and being in the pandemic, I mean, I could have worked 24/7. I mean,
Yeah,
I was just getting
right.
calls after calls, people just needing support. And I think one of the good things that come out of that was there was some, some of the barrier to mental health support, was kind of broken down. People were just in such crisis, they needed to do it. So I still see quite a bit of people wanting access, they're pursuing it. But yeah, I think there is still a lot of mentality, especially in certain cultures of, well, we don't share that. That's, we keep
Mhm.
all this stuff within the family. And, sometimes our families aren't the healthiest, and that's not always the best place to get that kind of support. But yeah, I see a lot of people with anxiety, depression, relationship issues for
Is there a
sure.
technique that you like to use or do you just, I mean, whenever I go on a therapist's
Yeah.
website, you're all skilled in a variety of different techniques.
Yeah.
Is there one that you, for instance, I have one of my partners likes EMDR a lot and is
Yeah.
amazed that it works, she says.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
there's other techniques that you go, wow, that actually worked.
Yeah, yeah. So I am a little eclectic too. I like to do a lot of different things, but my primary, I think, modality is cognitive behavioral
Mm-hmm.
therapy,
Mm-hmm.
CBT, because I think the framework just makes so much sense to me because it's, what we think impacts how we
Mm-hmm.
feel and what
Right.
we do. And that is also, I find, as a person of faith, like it's a very biblical, you know, like framework, because in the Bible, we know it says, like, as a man thinks, so is he,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, what's going on in our head is really important. It impacts us. So, really looking at that. So that's more of like the top down kind of process where we're using our logic and reasoning to kind of manage other issues. And I find that that works, in some, I think that's like the psychoeducation, right? It gives you an initial relief, but then there's the bottom up approach, right? Working with the body, working with our sensations, that's also really needed because I mean, I could tell myself, you're calm, like we're calm. And my body could be like feeling out of control, so how do I help connect those two? And so I like to really kind of marry those sort of, I like a top and bottom approach to it. But I think, with families, I think really like emotional focused therapy is really great, like
Mm-hmm.
really, I think a lot of families talk at each other and not to each other. I think there's not a lot of listening going on. I think people want to be right and they want to be heard, but they find it hard to set themselves aside a little bit to really listen and understand where someone else is coming from. And so I think that is a huge, huge thing because feelings, okay, we know feelings aren't facts, but feelings are really important. And, people like to kind of argue a little bit more. It keeps them up here in logic and reasoning instead of feeling towards each other, compassion, empathy, connection. And so really kind of helping them kind of switch that a little bit.
I think working with families and couples is always so interesting because no
Yeah.
matter how close you are to somebody, we all come at the world from different places. We all
Yeah,
interpret the world from different places.
exactly.
I have three
Exactly.
kids. They couldn't be more
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
They're a lot alike, but they all
Yeah.
solve problems in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of assumptions that go on, right? Like we
Right.
assume we know them, what they're thinking, what they're
Yes.
going through, but it's like we got to check those, right? We've got to like ask the questions. How are you doing? We've got to listen and hear what's really happening because we could be way off, even when we know someone really well.
Well, and what works for me might not work for you too.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
And so on your website, I'll let you get out with this. As you
Yeah.
say, there is a way forward. I love that quote.
Yeah.
Talk
Thank
about the way
you.
forward.
The way forward, I think it can be different for everyone depending on where you are, but I think it's really going back to the one day at a time, one step at a time. I think really sharing with a trusted person in your life what's going on for you. Really, you can't heal a wound that you say isn't there, right? If we're holding on to things and ignore, like we've got to share. And I
Mhm.
think, really opening up and telling someone you trust what's going on for you, I think is a big step. And, really just sharing with others, getting connected with support. Because I really found, a lot of my growth was in community.
Mhm.
And so I couldn't do it on my own. I tried for years to do it on my own, but I think really we need help. We need the support of other people. And so I think one way forward is is asking for support, sharing
I
what's going on.
I should have asked you this at the beginning too. You obviously take people in person. Do you also work
Yeah,
virtually?
I do.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm licensed in California, so I can really meet with anyone in the state. And it's been interesting. After the pandemic, a lot of people like virtual.
Yes.
It's so easy to do
Yeah.
it from the comfort of your home or some safe space.
Well, and in a lot of the places, especially people we've interviewed, there is nobody in their community. So,
Right.
in much of the country, there isn't a professional who services that area. So you're
Mhm.
lucky if you live in a populated area.
Yeah. Yeah, for
I
sure.
mentioned that because for those of you who know, we're going to put the links to Kelly's website on our podcast. Kelly, thanks a lot for sharing your experience, your work.
Yeah.
For those of you listening, as always, we hope you find hope, courage, support wherever you are. As always, thanks for listening. Be safe and may you find the way forward because, as Kelly probably knows, just over the bridge, there's stuff like Ghirardelli chocolate.
Good thing.